Well, you know, when there's time to stream, we stream. And if I forget, I stream faster. So let's stream really fast and do the bench there. Yeah. Um, I might be a little late. It says Saturday making games with free software. So we'll do that. But I'm here. You're here. We're all here. 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 Oh, we're so close to a gameplay prototype, which means it still looks like junk. Doesn't sound like anything, and there's no menus or that kind of stuff, but the core gameplay is playable. That's what I want to see because we have so much to do at that point. At that point, we can do more work to uh, make sure that the game we're going to make is going to be fun. That sounds really simple, but it's true. When we put the game together with a particular set of rules, it could be more or less fun than a different combination of rules in place. Well, typically, I and many other people who do this kind of work would game all this out and figure it all out before we build a thing because and not to say that we would have it settled, but that we would have a lot of the questions that I've been reserving until later. I would have those questions figured out. It is true that if I were making a card game like this, I would probably make some cards out of paper and play around with it that way. This is like a prime example of what I would not need or want to build first and ask questions later. I would want to not do it this way, but we're getting there. We're now getting to the point where it's almost looking like the kind of game we want to play in terms of um, the tactics that you can perform. So we're getting there. I'm going to say, yo, cards, I would like you to attack the opponent card with the least health, please. And let's look through your cards. Okay, I kind of like these. Yeah, I like that one a lot. Okay. These cards aren't so bad. This is actually pretty good. I'm going to go with these. And now I'm going to decide what's the formation I want to use. Let's see. I want to put this one up front. This one has got a lot of defense, but it's got more power. That's kind of cool. And I don't necessarily want to mirror what the other cards are doing. I want to do my formation a little bit different than my opponent. Ready, go. So that's the thought process I'm anticipating a player will go through at this stage. What we have in place for these rules is the marching orders, and they chose most speed. That's what they're going to go for. So they attacked my speed card first. Um, Unlucky me. And then choosing formation, choosing which card. Wow, we got owned. Okay, well, it's time for the comeback. To say, okay, I think maybe our uh, tactics there were a little bit tricky. I'm going to do least defense this time. I'm saying cards, go get the one with the least defense. My thought process there is that I might be able to take out cards that have less defense, and having a card advantage is my strategy. I have a couple of cards that aren't so great, but I will make do with what I have. Okay, I'm going to do this. Oh, Gosh, I keep almost mirroring these opponent formations without even thinking about it. So we'll see how this goes. The latest thing we did was make sure that cards that are out of range cannot attack each other. And if lanes are open, they will collapse. There's a couple of details to that mechanism I do want to fix, but there's also a bug that I want to fix. At that point, I believe we do have a gameplay prototype that is that's ready to go. And that's kind of exciting. So this right now means that this card is stranded because it's too far away from these cards. So is Fire Wasp. Flash Monkey and Fire Wasp are sitting here waiting. That's not so bad because these guys are taking care of it. We're doing okay. We tied it up. We're going to overtime. But that's a big change to how this battle, how these battles have shaped up. Now this one rule change made a big difference. And we're going to be able to explore that in detail and adjust some of these rules that we already have mechanisms for. That's, I guess, one advantage to doing it this way is I don't need to build it to try it out. I can just turn it on. So turning it rules on and off is going to be our approach a little later. My goodness, these cards are not wonderful. One of the last things we did, actually last time, what we did was ensure that there is an even distribution of cards with a 1. You see that 1 right there on luck? There's also a 1 here and a 1 there and a 1 there. But one of the last things we did was try and minimize the imbalances that could happen. We've done so before where there's like a random a random value assigned to these other card values. And that was really obvious. There were terrible cards with like lots of 2s and 1s all on the same card. Terrible. So we said, well, let's make a distribution of values on each card. In this case, you see 7, 5, 3, 1. You know, it might not be great because it's got a 1 in it, but it's at least got a 7 and a 5. These other ones likewise have a 3, 5, 7, and 9. So it's pretty good. There are effectively cards with a starting low value of 1, others with 2, others with 3. And last time we evenly distribute cards with 1s, 2s, and 3s such that there is an even distribution. It is not just, gosh, I want something with some health. We have nothing with health. Man, so bad. I'll do that. Not only do we have an even distribution of values within a single card, and we shuffle those, but I now, as of last time, we made 1s, 2s, and 3s, an even distribution of those among all the cards in the deck, and we shuffle those. So although I had 5 cards with 1s, that is statistically rare, and we can verify that. So that's good. So you'll see this lane collapse once one of these cards is stranded. Oh, okay. These cards were stranded, but the round already ended. So they won. So, what are the plans going next? Well, as I mentioned, there's a couple of details I want to fix with this lane collapsing mechanism because I did see a bug and I want to track it down. I want to analyze it and I want to fix it. Yeah, these are great cards. Couldn't I get this before? There we go. So I do kind of want to do an analysis and figure out where that bug could be. If I can logically find out how that happened, I should be able to prevent it. It was rare enough that I don't think I'm going to be able to reproduce it, but I will try to fix it and keep an eye out for it. Okay, we'll see this collapse. Oh, we don't see it collapse if the round ends quickly. The other thing, actually, that is the other thing I want to do with this collapsing lane system. if there is a lane to collapse, there's a time to do it. I think it is really subtle, but I think it's a significant detail that will matter. These cards are here, and I should really pay attention to what I'm doing here. I want my speed card to do well. I want these cards to be in place. Okay, I'll play with that. If there are cards that are stranded now, that's when this, like, it's their turn to attack and there's no one to attack. And they say, oh, I need someone to attack. Now the system, at this point, the system registers it at that moment and they wait. And then the rest of the cards have their turn. And then it goes through another cycle. I believe there's a problem that I should be changing the timing of when lanes collapse such that how do I say this? This is such a subtle detail. There's going to be a card that's stranded. Hopefully we can see it happen here. There we go. So Tidal Cannon right now is stranded, but there is no signal that says that it's stranded. And actually this lane is not open, so there's no way for it to collapse anyway. But I'm going to look for perhaps Inversion Bomb going away. Okay. Maybe Counter Shiv will go away. Or maybe nothing. Okay. So right now, these are the only two cards that can attack, but because they can, the lanes cannot collapse. There we go. So that lane collapsing move should happen, I believe, after all of the cards that are able to attack this cycle have attacked. In other words, before it cycles back and they count through again in the battle order, like literally the battle order. This is all the cards that were in battle. Some of them have died, but it goes through each one. This is all ordered by speed. The card with the higher speed goes first. So they have the lowest speed. And this is one cycle of battle, and then it goes through again. Well, what I want is for this to detect that a lane is open. Actually, I want it to detect as soon as I go back and start over again. Each cycle of battle is a fair time to say everyone has had a turn, so now we can collapse lanes. I think that's what I need to do. That's my thought anyway. So I do want to try and track down that error. It won't make a very fun stream, though. I'm realizing right now I'm going to be sitting here staring at code and thinking, well, speaking of entertaining streams, we actually hit a goal. We had a goal of 25 followers, and we reached our goal of 25 followers. Huzzah! Yippee! Hooray! And we did that thanks to friends from other streams who followed me over to here and just followed, and that's so fun. Thank you to everyone who has followed. Please stay followed, and we'll just try to grow our community and have more fun as we go. Yeah, what shall I do on this stream? My bug that I want to find has to do with this bit of code right here, because here is where I decide if I'm going up or down. Actually, right here is where I decide if I'm going up or down. And it's the comparison between these two numbers. Yeah, I'm going to be staring at code and thinking, which is not fun. I suppose I could Oh, I suppose I could see if my ping is decent on Valorant. I guess I could do that. Uh, I can't. Um, if I did that, um, well, let's just see. Let's just take a look. I mean, it's possible it's garbage and there's just no way, but you never know. If it's not garbage, maybe I'll play a little bit and then we'll stare at code. That way it's not totally boring. But I mentioned the game looks like nothing. I mean, it's what they call programmer art. Not that I'm a programmer, but I've explicitly left artwork, sound, and other small things that I already know how to do until later because I'm concentrating on the things that I haven't done before. Like I've never made this particular card game before. And as such, it needs to be said that I don't know what I don't know until I get there. So building these mechanics in our game engine and testing things out has been what was necessary to really see uh, how the game was going to be put together. Okay, my ping is actually garbage. Not even going to do that. Nope. Um, I'd like to say that we stream Valorant on a regular basis, but I can't on a regular basis. And I also have a waning desire to play Valorant as well. So, yeah, no, it's okay. It's all right. Instead, what we can do is stare at code. I know. So, okay. The condition that I saw that caused a bug was in an overtime round. So we had 5 cards, and among the cards, there was a card in the bottom lane, top lane, and middle lane. These 2 lanes were open, and they opened up at the same time, and I account for that. I account for the possibility that there are multiple lanes that need to collapse at the same time, and that actually worked fine. It totally worked fine. This lane collapsed at the same time this lane collapsed, and so it began to look like that. And that was okay. And then this card died. And that was okay. Obviously, this card and this card were opponents. One was player 1 and one was player 2. That card died. And what I wanted to have happen is this lane needs to collapse so that it does this. And the top card goes down, the bottom card goes up. What I actually saw instead was both cards going up. So here is going up or going down. Both of them thought they needed to go up. And that's interesting. It should not. So I'm going to use that case that I observed that I just described and try to analyze what exactly was going on here. So I can kind of ignore the first one, although I do want to remember that I collapsed 2 lanes initially. There were 5 lanes, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Lanes 1 and 3 collapsed. Okay, so I want to remember that. That happened, and that seemed to work fine. The collapse direction was correct, everything was great. Then there was another round, a card died, and now lane 2 needed to collapse. And yes, it does, it still calls it lane 2. It's still called the top lane lane 4 and the bottom lane lane 0, even though they also collapsed. I think. I should double check that. But this said, go through all the lanes to collapse, and in this case there was only one. This value is lane 2, and let's go find the cards that are in that are not in that lane, right? Because they're the ones that need to move. If the card is dead, and there were a number of cards that were dead, and I'm using this mechanism to just see if I've already taken the name away. This is not quite a hack, but it's silly. I'm going to remember this when I refactor and have a better, a more consistent way to detect that. Because I'm literally looking at the card, not the data that already knows which cards are dead and stuff, but this is different. So I record where this card is, which tells me which lane it's in, and that's what I'm actually getting here. So, actually that does indicate, excuse me, that does indicate something. This is, this is what's going on. Okay. So there's a maximum number of lanes. At first it was 5 lanes because it's the third round plus 2 equals 5, and no lanes had been collapsed. So it started at 5. Then I collapsed 2 lanes. This should have gone up by 2. Okay, and I think it does. So the second time, the max lanes is, let's see, this is round 3 plus 2 is 5 minus 2 is 3. So there are 3 lanes to that are there. And that tells me the place to look for the cards currently before they start moving. This start Y is the position, the vertical position of cards. Based on how many lanes there should be. When it's 5 lanes, it should be lower. When it's 3 cards, it should be higher. And so this little bit of algorithm uses the maximum number of lanes to calculate what is the starting position to look for these cards so that I can do this. Based on where the card is that I find, I figure out which lane it's in. So at this time, this is, I mean, it's the third round with 5 cards to start with, but at this time, because I've collapsed 2, it's actually a 3-lane, lanes are 0, 1, and 2. There's 3 lanes. So that's what that's, I mean, and it would find the card. It knows what lane. I'm just thinking right now, I probably just found the problem. So it's going to say it's in lane 0 or 1 or 2. So the lane that was going to collapse is actually, it's called 1. And I believe that's different than this. I believe that the number that's here is actually based on the original lanes. I wonder if that is true. I might be able to just use this here. I have to go look at that, see where this is populated. Because as I find lanes to collapse, I record how many, I record that number of lanes, and I record the index. But I think the index might be wrong. That's one thing to think of. But now that I know which lane should collapse, and in this scenario that I'm trying to recall from memory, it is thinking index 1, the middle lane, needs to collapse. Oh, sorry. It's looking at the cards. So this is, it found a card in lane 0. It found a card in lane 2. Okay. The lane to collapse is probably 3, 0, 1, 2. 0, 1, 2. Actually, it's probably 2. Okay. If that's true, this thinks it's 1. This thinks it's 2. So if the card that it found is not in the lane that should be collapsed, and the card is not dead, so it ignored the card in the middle that was dead, then do this, and this is where now I think I'm going to find the problem, because if it's, well, we know these aren't equal, so what is it? Is it more or less? And I think what I just realized is the lane that is being recorded in this array is a different index than what I'm doing here, because I'm taking into account how many lanes have already collapsed. I wonder if it's true that is different. I don't know. But if it is, these are equal, and so is lane 2 more than lane 1? The answer is yes. And so collapse up, yes. Okay, so yeah. Collapse up. The lane to collapse is 2, apparently. And the lane that we found this card in is apparently 1. And so 1 and 2, this is going to collapse up. Wait. The lane to collapse is 1. But wait a minute. In the scenario that I'm thinking of, where is the card that it finds? It finds a card. It's not dead. Looks at its position and says, which lane are you in? Because I'm going to compare it to the lane that's supposed to be collapsing. Well, in this scenario, based on position and the start position, this would have been 0, 1, 2. This would have said 2. Let me confirm that. Current round is 3 plus 2 minus 2. Start position, that low space minus 2 minus 1 is 2 times. So it has collapsed part way. That was true. So, and yes, the starting position was not at the bottom. It was moved up slightly because it had collapsed a little bit. That is true. And so now the current position minus that start position tells us, if we divide by 3.5, 0, 1, 2. Yes, this was 2. At the time that I saw this bug happen, where they both went up, the top lane index is 2, so this is a 2. And the only way it could have moved was if it wasn't the same number, wasn't dead, that's for sure. But somehow this became true because 2 was here, and this was more than that? Interesting. Now, I've seen more than one lane collapse before, and I didn't see this bug. I did see the bug once. So I'm frankly going off the assumption it must be a rare case. Sorry, I should just search for this. Lanes to collapse. This initializes it. This checks in order to collapse them. That's the timing I was talking about. Okay. It has found a stranded card that wants to fight and can't. It's going to be basically, it's going to be skipped. Its turn is absolutely skipped. But in the process, I do add to this array and by the way, I should pay attention to okay, so is lane empty? It's this thing because this is where I'm getting my confirmation that there are no cards in that lane. And so I save all the current lanes to collapse and I add to it. Okay. Because in one cycle, there could be multiple lanes that need to collapse all at once. So it's going through. Oh, here we go. So this is me detecting this particular lane must be on the edge. Oh, and check it out. It starts at 1, not 0. Whoops. This is not starting at 0, it's starting at 1. And when I record it, I actually record the value. So this is 1 more than I thought. Interesting. So I'm just going to confirm this really quick. Maybe I could just peek. It's a nice feature in Visual Studio that you can just go and have a quick look at where this is. This is literally down here in the same script, but this does the same max lane starting thing and goes through starting from 0. Going through all the cards though. Okay, so that's going through all the cards and uses that same calculation. Oh, goodness me. It's the exact same calculation to arrive at index lane in order to check to see if this is actually here. Ooh, why doesn't this look like it should work at all? But it does. Okay, well, I'm going to do it some more and pay attention to this number because as far as I know, this has been working correctly. This says it's an edge, but it starts with 1, not 0. So I'm concerned that I've actually been thinking about these differently. Okay, so I know that this okay, if that's true, if it really is doing that, where am I? There we go, collapse lanes. So these numbers that I'm getting from this array are actually starting at 0. I mean, starting at 1, which is significant. I believe this index lane, let me do this. If not dead, actually, yeah, let me just do this. Found card at lane. I'm going to look at this index lane value. While I compare it to this, because I'm concerned. I mean, I know I'm going to immediately check to see if they're different and that it is dead, but I'm doing this differently because I actually want to see the ones that are the same as well. I want to inspect what's going on with this. In fact, I kind of want to tell me which card. Yeah, I can do that. Cards, N, right? Mm-hmm. And you can give me the name. Thank you. Okay. So I'm going to play a couple of rounds, get lanes to collapse, and observe the log. Oh, I'll go for the one with the most speed. Knock those out. Okay. No guarantee I can get a card to collapse or a lane to collapse, but if the formation is not mirrored so that such the cards join together at the same time, then it's usually true that you have a better chance of seeing collapsed lanes. Okay. So those collapsed. And it did find cards. Oh, it was going through a lot of this. So it did collapse the lane. Oh, right, it's doing this every frame. Right. So let's go up to the top here. It found the stranded cards. It knew it must collapse lane 2. Again, this is round 1, so we have lanes 1, 2, and 3. That's what that is. Okay, so that's the value that's being stored in that array. And now it's collapsing lanes, and it found the card in lane 3, found the card in lane 1. Okay, well, I guess it starts at 1 as well, so I guess that's okay. I was a little worried about it, but I guess I should just stop counting from 0, I guess. Like, I literally had a problem before with other systems that were conflicting because they were counting from 0 or counting from 1. I just made them consistent and everything went well, so I'm a little concerned now that I have another system that's counting from 1. But whatever. Okay, well then, uh, that is not the problem. Instead, This became true at a time that seemed odd. And I want to gosh, it is going to be really hard to reproduce this problem. And I would almost say it's such an edge case, I'm going to have to code the condition that I need to see and force it to happen, which means, an overtime with two lanes open already, blah, blah, blah. Ugh, I'm lazy. I don't want to do that. I don't. But I may have to. So if I see this and it does say it's going to collapse up and I don't like that, what else do I want to know at that time? I want to know this lane and I want to know that lane, right? Well, I know that this is going to be lane is going to be more than index lane. I know that. I think that's good enough information to figure it out. This should be straightforward. If the lanes are different, one of them is the lane that is collapsing. That's what this is. And this is the lane that is not collapsing. That's the lane where the card is that was found is. Then now you can tell, because it's not the same lane, you can tell it's either more or less, which means they should collapse up or down. Should be. In the observation I saw, the card literally, the two cards both went up and they both went off screen. Eventually, interestingly enough, they actually finished their skirmish, but off screen. It was kind of silly. Okay, I have junk cards again. I'm going to try and force this to happen. It's not going to be easy. Okay, there we go. Okay, so collapse up from lane 3 false, collapse up from lane 1 true. This makes sense to me. Yeah, I think it's literally going to be only when there's 5 lanes and that rare condition that I saw. In fact, it might even be if lanes had collapsed previously. I mean, it could be that rare. That's the problem with these kinds of bugs that are hard to reproduce. You need to reproduce problems in order to fix them. Literally how you do it. So, all right. I need ones with lots of health. So I'll take that. I keep mirroring these formations without even thinking about it. It's so wild. It's definitely it's nice to see and it's interesting to see, and I'm gonna have to study it some more. It's nice to see that these cards are all they can do is fight each other until this lane engages and stuff. This changes the battle because these cards are fresh; they haven't started yet. Um, Changes the battle because these cards are going to be worn down by now. It changes the battle because based on that, this card was able to survive a little bit longer. I mean, it's just interesting. The shape of this battle is different now with these rule changes. Okay, well here we are in overtime. I can't count on this problem getting reproduced reliably, but oops. Okay, I'll do that. And since those cards are on the edge, those lanes don't need to collapse at all. It knows that. But that did. See, I'm not seeing the problem. And that's a problem because I did see a problem once. It's really difficult to do something about a problem you can't reproduce. It's really a big deal. Well, I'm gonna have to keep an eye on it. I did place um, a line to help log what was going on at that time. So if I do see it again, I can do something about it. I hope I got all the information I need to make that worthwhile. But I'm gonna have to leave it there, actually. I mean, it's a messy log too because it's doing that every single frame that they collapse. Really, really messy. I want to find that problem. Ugh, yuck. Um, and I'll tell you the reason why I'm so uh, agitated by it is because the rest of this code, and it's not a big game, but it's complicated enough that I'd say it's significant that I do not have any errors, bugs, warnings, logs that I need to pay attention to except this one thing that I saw. So I want to keep it that clean as I move forward, and I can't because there's this rare thing that I saw once. So I'm agitated by it, but I do think that I've done as much as I can right now, and I'll move on to the next thing. And that was this. Let's see. We are set to ask by saying return at this point. We are asking to allow the engine to update by moving the cards together before doing anything else. Because this timer has some value, it's going to just move cards together instead of doing battle. So even though the battle is there, it basically pauses, and the return says, yeah, go do that now. This is actually in the middle of battle. The battle turn timer is something that goes by pretty quick, but it is effectively the different turns for each card. And there's a couple of places where we do this return thing. This happens, let's see, this is happening because we've gotten to the end of that cycle of battle through all the cards in the battle order. So I think that's correct, that's when we want to collapse the lanes. This is similar in that we may be on a particular card that is dead, and we actually want to skip the cards that are dead and go to the next card that's alive. Likewise, we check to see if we've actually gone to the end of the battle order and we're about to go back to battle turn 0. If so, do the collapsing lane. So I think that's actually correct. I guess I've already done that part. That's good. Here's where we actually detect that we should collapse lanes. And the mechanism that's doing it is the card itself that's saying like, hey, I should be attacking, but I can't. I suppose we could actually be in a case where this card is not dead, but other cards after it in the battle order are. In other words, this is the last alive card in the battle order. I don't really have a way to detect that yet, but that could be true. And so technically we're not at the end of the battle order because we haven't gone through, but this would skip those that are dead. And so we could be at the last alive card with more dead cards after it, and then we detect this. If that were true, this card says, hey, I want to join the battle, but I'm too far away. I need the lanes to collapse. It records that the lanes should collapse, and it returns. So is this okay too? Yeah, the battle turn timer is set. This returns. Oh, well, that should be okay too. Well, I should test this. The test would be, and this is a super fine detail that I haven't actually tested to make sure it's a problem, but I should before I forget and move on. The battle order is a series of cards, and it's set because of their speed. The turn is indicating which card in the battle order is currently going. When we collapse lanes, I should pay attention to if this is at the end of the battle order. Let's do that. I will pause and look very carefully at the data. So here's our battle order. These 4 cards are currently flipped over, and so they are battling. The other 2 cards technically are not in the battle yet. That's what that is. Now they are. So there's all 6, and it's turn 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the next time a lane collapses, I'm going to pay attention to what turn it is. And I guess I need to see the hit points on these cards as well, just to see where they are. This is not necessarily lining up. These 3 and these 3 don't necessarily line up with those 3 and those 3, because this index is referring to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's what this is referring to. So again, it's based on speed. So it could be completely out of order. This is a detail, and it is a little bit difficult to track, but I'm going to do my best. And we're also hoping for a particular condition to happen, which is not ideal when you're trying to debug. But what I want to check is make sure that lane collapses only happen at the end of the battle order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. 1, 2, 7. Yes. Okay, so it was at 7. And it's going back and forth between 3 and 7. So it was at the end of the battle order. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it said 7 because it's more than that. And that's when it collapsed. So far that looks correct. Let's do an overtime round and see if we can do that again and confirm. Really not paying attention to the cards at all. Just 2 cards in battle. And there's a lot of cards in battle. We're not seeing a lane collapse yet. And that is on turn 7. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is 7. So yeah, that's correct. Should be doing that. And just to confirm, lane 5 is collapse up false, but 1 and 3 and 2 are going true, so they're going up. Yep. I mean, I don't see anything wrong yet. I'm looking for 2 bugs at the same time, and that's always dangerous. But so I think I confirmed what I needed to confirm. This is already done. I am already detecting it at the right time, queuing it up, and performing the collapsing of lanes at the right time. I think I just confirmed that. Not sure why I felt like that needed to be confirmed, but I thought I didn't do it yet, I guess. Hello, Voight. I'm working on a battle card game, and it's very generic at this point. It looks like junk. We're really just working on the gameplay mechanics and how the battle will shape up. We're almost there, actually. But it's fun. We're just goofing off. This battle card game is currently called Shuffle Wars, which is silly. And these names of battle cards are silly as well. And everything that looks, generic. But it will look great and it'll sound great later. For now, I just want to make sure that everything from the way 2 cards battle to the way 5 cards might battle works correctly. You set your cards up on the table. You place a formation of your cards as well because they actually act like soldiers. They march into battle, and you don't know what the other cards are for the opponent, but you know their formation, so you can count on some of that. The stats that are on the cards determine how the battle will play out. There's power and defense, which determines how much damage they're going to do, and then there's speed and health and luck. Speed determines which card goes first. Health is hit points. And luck comes into play just in case one card is going to die. Ooh, that one just did it. This card up here is a luck card, actually. It has a 10 in luck. And it performed a luck win. Basically, it was about to die, but turned it around and killed the attacker instead. It's a rare chance, but you have a better chance when you have luck. So that's how the stats work. it's a three, well, it's a best of three two-player card game. And so that's what we're working on. Thanks for stopping by. Welcome to follow and watch me code. Am I doing I am GUI? No, I'm not. This is the Unity game engine, so I don't need to do anything in C#. And they have their own, actually, they have multiple GUI systems. I'm actually doing the oldest one and doing that because I can control it carefully. So I'm literally doing buttons and labels and nothing more fancy than that at this point. In fact, I'm only doing the most utilitarian interface because I'm only concerned with the gameplay mechanics at this point and making sure this all works. The interface that I'm using does track the mouse position, and then I am literally moving card objects up to peek up and things, and if I click on it, it goes. I'll show you here. When I peek on it, I'm literally asking it to lift up in front of the thing. So if these are physical cards sitting in the game engine, and when I place them, I'm doing this. This interface here for the labels and stuff is it's the oldest form of GUI that Unity provided, which is the GUI class. It's straightforward. It's very, very simple. So awesome. Yeah. So I'm using Unity and C#. Cool. Yeah. So most of our code is in two scripts. One is handling this view. The other one that we were just looking at is handling this view. And that's because we're still kind of just concerned with two parts of it: how the player lays the cards on the table, and then how the cards themselves react in battle. Once these mechanics are done, and like I said, I think we're pretty much there. There was one bug I was trying to chase down earlier, but other than that, I think the gameplay prototype is done. With that in place, I kind of want to play with the rules that we have mechanics for now, and implement some, disable others, and find the right mix of rules that will make the game the most fun, and then we'll make it look pretty. It's not the way that I normally work, but it's the way that I'm playing around with this development. Anyway, so we're dealing with fine details, and like I said, I was chasing down a rare bug earlier. That's the state I'm at. But other than that, the game is pretty much working the way we want it to. This mechanism here confirms that the cards will be in a particular lane and a particular attack order, so that they don't occupy the same one. This kind of guarantees very interesting formations, such that the player needs to choose their formation, the card they're going to place down, and the order of them. Has to choose that well. There's some things they don't know. There's some things they are in control of, and I think it's the right mix of, unpredictability and tactics. So yeah, been doing this. I mean, I only spend a couple hours on this per week, maybe 4 hours or 5 hours at most. And I've been doing this for a couple of months. So we're at this stage. And I guess after a round of testing, and after we feel pretty good about how it plays, and then we'll spend time making it look pretty. We'll do artwork, we'll implement sound and menus and things, and that's trivial to me. I don't care about that. What I care about is what is the best way to handle how this card battle game works for the player who's caring about tactics and wants to be the general who's sending their troops into battle. So that's what I'm concerned about. I know I'm kind of breezing through this quickly, but you get the idea that the play school color coding that we currently have is really just temporary. It's meant to describe which stat this card has a 10 in, because every card has a 10 somewhere, and the other stats are distributed fairly evenly. So there aren't terrible cards, there aren't great cards, but they vary slightly. And then the choices will matter a little bit for the player. Yeah. So I guess you showed up at a fun time, because the game is pretty much looking the way it's going to look. And I keep saying look. This is going to have a huge overhaul visually. But in terms of how the game progresses, this is pretty much it. Um, I do think it should be a two-player game when it's all said and done. And right now, I've just got a silly AI routine that's only serviceable for testing right now. So I can be player 2 and it's player 1. The thing there we go. There we go. There we go. Actually, that was the bug that I wanted to chase down. Why did these things all say they wanted to go up? I literally was trying to find this bug, and I said, well, I'll just log it and I'll come back later when I can find a case again. Hopefully I'll see that rare edge case again and I'll be able to track it. And I think I just did. Okay. So now you're going to watch me debug a little bit. Welcome to stay. Happy if you want to follow, that'd be great. We are going to move on from this to, making art. And we'll make the card art, we'll make the table, we'll play more with visual effects, because all this is temporary. And I'll add sound and stuff. That's probably over the next month. It's probably what we're going to do. And now I'm going to think about code and look at this log for a second. So every frame I'm logging this, and that makes it difficult, but I'm going to struggle with that. At some point this changed from, there we go. So it did collapse the 2 lanes. Boy, that was the same condition before. And it thought it needed to collapse this again. Really? Huh. Okay, this was 5 cards. That's the exact same condition that I saw before. So it was 5 cards, 2 lanes collapsed, and then another one needed to collapse, and they all go up. This does say lane 4, lane 5, so it thinks that this is 5, lane 4 was here, but counter shiv really should be going down. And it's not. It's currently going up, I think. So it must think that counter shiv is in a lane less than 4. That must be why, because otherwise it would not go up. So this is Tiger God going up, counter shiv going up. Yep. So the real question is, did I log correctly? Because I want to nail down this bug. Yeah, I did. Good. Okay, it says it was in lane 3. And that actually makes sense, because I recalculate lanes. It says 1, 2, 3, and the lane that's collapsing is 4. So actually that makes sense. So at the time I said we must collapse, so that these two did collapse. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At that time, it shouldn't be identifying that as 4. But it detected 2 lanes. 5 was empty. That's true, but we don't care. This is wrong. So I think I just found the problem. At the time I detect that the lane needs to collapse, I'm getting this index number wrong. I am starting at 1, and I think that's part of the issue. It said 4 is empty. And I think it meant to say 3 is empty. I think so. That would have at least, well, if it was 3, it wouldn't be empty because I have 2 different ways of counting lanes. One is 1, 2, 3. The other one was the original 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And after I collapsed lanes, I'm not accounting for that change. I am tracking how many lanes I have collapsed. Where is that? It's not here. Jeez. Maybe that's the issue. No, I do. Oof. I look at the cards. I'm checking this is the exact same algorithm. Is it not? It is. Checking the card position, and I'm looking to see if it's in the right place. Using start position helps this because I know based on the lanes that have collapsed, this should be 3 maximum lanes. The starting position should be known. This should say lanes 1, 2, and 3 are the ones they're looking for. And I'm saying this. That's why. Right? This is the problem, yes? I am looking at this starting from 1, and that seems like a problem, but I am also not accounting for the lanes that have collapsed when I do this. And I should. That's why. That is why. I think that's why. I saw it twice. I've seen this problem twice now, and it happened after a previous collapse of lanes. That sounds correct. It shouldn't have checked 4 anyway. That's true, because there were only 3 lanes. Yeah, this sounds right. But I'm going to need to verify this. This is the rare edge case bug, and it's the only one I needed to track down. Wait. Okay, these got messed up halfway through their move. Okay. Okay, do I need that log anymore? Because that is really messy. I don't want it anymore. This one. I'll clean it up later. Should I log here? I already know where it is. Okay. So let's do this. I somehow need to, gosh, I don't want a code to reproduce that condition again, but it is so rare. I almost need to. Ugh. I'm just lazy. I'd rather stumble on the problem. I honestly think this is like the last thing I need to do before I play with these rules, including like really determine if marching orders is something I want to do, most power, the least defense, etc. What are some of the other rules I want to play with? Oh, right. I want to potentially add special cards. There's only 50 cards now, but I might add a couple more that are special. And not these generated cards. I was thinking about it. There's really only 5 cards. There's ones with a 10 in power, then ones with a 10 in defense, 10 in speed, 10 in health, 10 in luck. And there are 10 of each of those types of cards. After that, the other stats get sort of randomly distributed, shuffled, really. And they aren't unique in that way. They are generated each time the match is restarted. And I'm not upset with that yet. I'm not worried about that yet, but it does seem like something that I need to consider, especially if I want to add more cards. I think I'm only going to add 2, for example. At least for now. I need to play around with that. There's more than there's like half a dozen high priority rules that I want to play with once I get this nailed down. And that combination of rules should be it. I should be able to sort of relax on the gameplay mechanics and instead focus on things like art and sound, menus, and things like that. I actually do want to think about how I'm going to implement multiplayer. I'd like to have matchmaking. I'd like to have a leaderboard. I'd like to have tournaments. I'd like to do all that stuff, but that's way down the road. I'm gonna make it look pretty first. I wonder if I can get this to happen again. It was kind of lucky that I saw the bug. Okay. Collapse, please. Okay. Well, if it was going to collapse twice, I might have seen that condition again. I'll get there. I think it's actually faster than me coding the condition that forces it to happen. So I'll just keep playing. I also want to check and make sure there's no dominant strategy. I mean, if there is, like with the marching orders or something, I want to even that out. I've already done some balancing things just because I knew it was necessary, but I'll do more of that. Right, I'm really not looking at these cards. I'm just throwing them down. Because I don't care. I just want the lanes to collapse, and I want to make sure. That was like the last mechanism I worked on. I just want to make sure it's bulletproof. Used to be that all the cards that were turned over would all be able to attack each other, even across the battlefield. That was definitely something I did not want. So very recently we set up the range to prevent cards from attacking another card that was too far away. Basically, more than one lane away, which sets up the conditions to make it really important that lanes do collapse when they need to and when and all that. But this change, preventing cards from attacking too far, really changed how the battles play out. Right now, these two cards are going to be by themselves until one defeats another and they can collapse the lane. That is a very different shape of the battle than we had before. I knew it was going to be important to do this stuff. This is meant to be a lot more like real soldiers in a battle, and their proximity to each other, their individual stats, all that stuff really matters. The marching orders, it's meant to really mimic that kind of real battle dynamic. So Fear Kestrel, for example, is now stranded and wants to attack but can't, and so it asked to collapse the lanes, and it did. Okay. Okay, now just because I see good results doesn't mean I didn't get some data I might be able to look at here. And it was angle deflectors was stranded, but before that was that card. There it is. Stranded and asked to collapse. And the lane that collapsed, no, it must collapse. Okay, so it asked it to collapse 3 times and then it finally collapsed. Okay, so what? But there was 2. Yeah, this one collapsed as well. Well, it's a different number. I don't know that I can tell from here exactly if it was right, but I mean, yeah, that's the problem with these edge case bugs. If you can't reproduce it, you can't tell that it's fixed. It's a bit frustrating. I can't just say, hey, I don't see a problem, so it's all good. I'd love to, but I can't. It's not necessarily true. That would be called specious reasoning. All right. So, um, I'll play one more. I'm going to end stream at that point. I'll see if I can get to an overtime win. In fact, I could cheat. I'm going to cheat and get to an overtime win. I'm going to let player 1 win this next round. It's the advantage of playing this in the engine. I can totally cheat. Let me take away my hit points. Oh, didn't I take away my hit points? I thought I did. Okay. That should do it. Cool. So we'll go to overtime. I'll just see if this is if I can maybe get to the same conditions that showed the bug before, possibly convince myself that I fixed it. I knew I was going to try and analyze my way to fixing the bug initially, so that's kind of what I did. I would really love to be convinced, but I'm trying to stay objective. All right. I suppose what I could do is try and force the collapsing that I need. I guess I could cheat and make that happen. Okay, so okay. Let's see, which cards are which. I need to make sure Powder Keg has almost nothing. And I also want to get rid of Tactical Squid's health and Hippo Bot. But I'm going to let these two have a lot of health. And that should do it. Okay. Okay, so now I've got one of my lanes open. I might actually really cheat this directly into the condition I'm looking for. Let these have a lot of health. Let's see. Let this one start to die. Let this one live. Give this one some health. Okay, that'll do. Okay, 2 lanes need to collapse. That actually might take a little while. Okay. So now I want to see the middle one die. Yeah, this one. Please die. And I want to see them collapse appropriately. Hey, whoops. Train shield is not in the battle. And that's because it's sitting too far away. Actually, all these are. What's up? Huh. It should be in range. Hmm. Give me a second. Okay. Before I end stream, I want to see if I can get this condition to happen, and I'm just about there. This Fear Kestrel is at the top. Tactical Squid is dead. Rocket Dragon is dead. War Unicorn is there. Wow, these really look like they are within range. Oh no, they're not. They should be 3.5 away. Doom Shield, sorry, Drain Shield is at 0. So these other ones should be 3.5. That's what's up. Let's set that because I think I interrupted them while they were moving and screwed up my test. That's true. Okay, so now, okay. There we go. Okay, so now, Drain Shield can be in the battle. And I need to keep its health at 1 while I give everyone else 10. Because I really want Drain Shield to die, that lane to clear up, and I want to see what happens. That's the condition I'm looking for. Okay, so now he's in battle. Oh, good, he died, and they should collapse properly, please. In fact, I'm sad that I just gave everyone 10 health because, oh good, they're gonna die at different times. That's what I need. Let's see it. Let's go. Fingers crossed. I want these lanes to come together. Yay! Okay, I think I'm convincing myself now I have fixed that bug. That was a rare edge case bug. And I needed to analyze my way to it, but I think I found it. I was not accounting for the lanes that had already collapsed in a very key spot. But now I am. I'm pretty sure that's what's up. And I think I should now clean up this log because it was pretty messy. I believe I can do so, which means this. Oop. And wow, I think I'm at gameplay prototype complete. In other words, all of the features having to do with the gameplay, from the player looking at their cards and laying the cards on the table to setting formation and setting their marching orders, to the way the battle unfolds from this view, with cards advancing, cards turning over and entering battle, the progression of battle through the battle order, and the progression of rounds from round 1, 2, and possibly 3. I think we're done. I think we're feature complete on those elements, and the features that are left are now not the core gameplay, but more or less cosmetic. I mean, we need a menu, we need a splash screen, we need, ways to get out of the game, things like that. But yeah, I think this is the game. And the questions now are surrounding rules that we might implement and rules we might take away. I would have paper prototyped all of this instead, but because I wanted to just try this method of working on on design, this development method that just sounds ridiculous. I wanted to just, it sounds ridiculous and I never do it. So this was my opportunity to try it out and sort of not just say that it's dumb, but know that it's dumb. Did I say that out loud? Um, I am pretty sure that I know the advantages of doing things this way, but that they are just simply outweighed by the time savings you get by paper prototyping and thinking ahead. There's minor things like timing I might adjust, but ooh. And I can end stream. That's a nice place to end stream. Feature complete. It's pretty nice. I think we really could go for a whole round of development streams later that go over artwork, everything from the themes, the visual metaphors and stuff, to color script and style. You know, all that exploration needs to happen, and then I need to start developing stuff. The table should look like a table, cards should look like cards, but the pictures in the cards should look really cool. I don't know. I'm almost, the way we started this was, hey, we have a shuffle mechanic. Let's do a card game. Let's call it Shuffle Wars. I mean, it was that silly. And then all these silly names for the cards came about. So I almost want to maintain that as part of the theme. Over the top, but doesn't take itself too seriously, right? That can be informing what the real title of this game is. It can inform the visual style. It could inform the music. It can inform, exactly what pictures these are. I don't know that these names are going to stay, but they are kind of fun and silly, which is a nice contrast from the seriousness of the tactics that we have available for the player. There's a neat contrast there that I like. So that's one of the questions we can explore now that this is done. All right. Fun. Okay. Well, not only did we reach our follower goal, Yahoo actually may reset the goal to be something larger because we can be ambitious now. But we got to feature complete on this gameplay prototype, and that's major. It's only been a couple of months, but when you consider I'm only working a couple hours a week on this, that's not bad. Not bad. I mean, this is effectively game jam sort of progress. I think it's worth it to have good gameplay first, and so I'm happy where this is. After that, if we can make it look pretty, if we can make it, I think the style might include being over the top, but not taking itself seriously. I think there's something about that feels fun. So along with getting serious about the way you play and engaging in particular strategies and tactics, having fun imagery, having over-the-top effects, having music that doesn't take itself too seriously. Gosh, I don't know how this works out yet, but it feels like the right direction to go. So I'm happy to continue to explore that and see if that works. In the meantime, it was happy times, good things. Getting stuff done is good, and I think it's fun when people can stop by and see we're doing something fun. It's always good. So hopefully we do more of this soon, and we see more people soon. Thanks again for stopping by. All right. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.